mute everybody. During the program, if you have a question or a comment, please write it in the chat or raise your hand. When it's time for a discussion and a Q&A, we will call on you and you can ask away. Somebody named Galaxy's coming in. And it's the way we usually do it, and it works out well. So before the program, we all unmute and we talk to each other and we let it all out, and then we mute during the program. It's 7 minutes in, it's 7 minutes after, so in the true theater tradition, we're now going to start. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jude. I'm the Director of Programming at East Meadow Public Library, and I'm here today with the programming staff of Charlie Faso, Kelly Gordon, and Linda Soldo. I have a throat thing, I'm sorry. Nancy Solomon is the director and founder of Long Island Traditions. Long Island Traditions visits, supports people and introduces them to the rest of Long Island who have traditions based out of their own ethnicity or background or country of origin. She also preserves traditional architecture in Long Island. And this is one of my favorite Nancy Solomon stories. I think she should be a Long Island treasure. After Sandy, when there were 2 channels breached into Fire Island, and then the Great South Bay and everything else was contaminated, Nancy convinced the powers to be not to fill in one of the channels, and therefore the bay would clean out. And guess what? That happened, and it did. So I am forever in her debt just for that. She also is supportive of traditional occupations like baymen and women on Long Island. So here is the Long Island treasure and founder and director of, and I'm not related to her, I swear, Nancy Solomon.
Thank you, Jude. And it's just so great to see so many of you, even if it's only on Zoom. And I hope that, maybe this fall we'll all be able to gather in person. So a little bit about how this program came to be. As Jude mentioned, I'm a folklorist, and we're really always looking to find ways that we can encourage people to hold on to their cultural traditions that are passed down through their family. And many years ago, I had the good fortune to meet an incredible woman named Rati Raja, who heads the Young Indian Cultural Group, which offers classes for adults and young people at the Harricks Community Center on South Asian Indian culture. And through her, I started learning more about the people that taught in her school. And one of those people was Sejal Kukadia. And so I lived not too far from her. So we got together and, we did an interview where I learned more about her own personal background. And Sejal is unique because she is one of the very, very few women in this country that is a master tabla player and instructor. And like other tabla players, she spent many years in India learning under some of the masters from the country of origin, and then started teaching, on her own, also with the Young and Culture Group, and eventually the Talim School. So I was very happy that she was open to presenting to audiences that aren't familiar with tabla, because like, many traditional arts, a lot of times it just stays within the community. And so it's my great pleasure to have worked with Sejal for several years now. We've done school programs together and programs like this together. And I'm especially grateful that, given the times we're living in, that she is able to bring some of her students to us. And you'll also see what she has been able to do during COVID, which is nothing short of astonishing. So I'm going to turn this over now to Sejal Kukadia. I want everyone to give a thumbs up you can do that by hitting the reactions bar on the bottom of your screen, just like I did. And let's give her a warm welcome. Sejal, it's all yours.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Nancy, for that introduction. And I also first want to just start off by thanking Nancy and Jude for inviting me and my students to this platform so that we could present our music to you, and for arranging this. And also thank you to the Long Island Traditions, the whole organization, and also thank you to East Meadow Public Library for gathering all of the community together to learn more about what we are going to present today. So thanks so much. And this is obviously not a normal way of presenting or giving a performance or a discussion, but for us, all of us here, this is the very first time we're doing a Tabla program on Zoom. So this is quite a new experience, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And obviously we hope to see everyone in person soon. I think hopefully all of, the pandemic will come to a gradual close and we'll all be able to meet together in person soon. So we really look forward to that. So what we're going to talk about today and introduce you today is the instrument of India, which is called the tabla. And I know that this instrument is very new to most, if not all, of you listening here today. So first off, I really appreciate everyone being here today to learn about an instrument that is so different and definitely not commonplace. An instrument that is very classical and very, very special in that it is from the country of India. And obviously for us, we learn and we play, and we've been studying this instrument for so many years, but for you, it's something brand new. So I appreciate that you all are taking the time this evening to learn about it and to meet us. So to introduce us, me, and I want to introduce my students as well. My name is Sejal. I've been playing tabla for more than about 25 years. I studied tabla initially in India. So I moved to India when I was quite young and studied with my teacher in India. I lived there in the same town that my teacher was in, and studied in a very serious, kind of all-encompassing way. I was there for the sole purpose of learning the instrument. So I kind of entered this whole way of life of studying tabla in a very, very traditional format. It was kind of like an apprenticeship. So where you enter this way of life of studying the music, practicing the music, going to your lessons every day, twice a day, in fact, in the morning, and then again in the evening, and in the middle of the day would just be practicing. So it was a very intense period of time, after which I came back to America and set up tabla classes and started teaching through this school that I'm associated with, which is called the Talim School of Indian Music. So Talim School of Indian Music has several teachers located in New Jersey, New York City, Long Island, Connecticut, all in the tri-state area. And all of the teachers are disciples of the same guru, what we call a guru, a teacher. And we've always studied under the same teacher in India. So we all are kind of like a tabla family. Talim School has students all over the tri-state area. But now that most of the teachers are teaching online, so that has expanded kind of throughout the country, because now this whole new method of learning, which is on FaceTime or on Zoom, is coming into the picture. So it's, in some ways, it's really great because we are reaching out to so many more people, not just the people, not just students in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. So here today, I have two of my very dear students. On my right, I want to introduce you to Deepa Paulus. Deepa has been my student since the age of 11, and now she is 24 years old. So she is, in her own right, she is a musician. She's a performing artist. She is very, very entwined in the world of music and art. And she studied imaging and film in New York City. And now, in addition to playing tabla, she also plays guitar and also, what other instruments?
Keyboard, guitar.
And she dabbles on keyboard, and she works full time in the imaging department at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So she is a very talented young woman. On my left, we have a mini Deepa. Her name is Tanvi, and she actually just started learning tabla with me just about under 1 year. So she's a beginner, and this is her very first time performing tabla in front of an audience. So let's give Tanvi. And you can't see Tanvi's father, but he's right over there. And this whole time he's been taking pictures and taking video. So he's a proud father. And he's going to be taking pictures the whole time, I'm sure. So Tanvi and Deepa, they're going to be assisting me today in the demonstration and in the performance. It's really, really exciting that I have two female students here with me today. Why? Because this instrument, tabla, is primarily a male-dominated instrument throughout history. The tabla has been passed on, the training has been passed on mainly to the male members of the family. So in the olden times, I'm talking maybe 70, 80 years ago, the teacher of tabla would generally choose to teach his art to his sons or to his nephews. And that is the way that the tabla passed on through the generations, and it became primarily played by men. But that's not the case today, obviously. You have me playing tabla as the teacher, and I have so many young girls and women who are so interested in pursuing the art, not just as a hobby or as a once a week lesson, but they really want to go out into the world and play tabla, performances and concerts and teach and do workshops. Especially Deepa, she's gone out and performed collaborations with other artists in the area. She's gone as far as Europe. She was just, I think 2 years ago, she was in France performing tabla for a, what was it for?
It's like an artist residency.
Yeah, it was an artist residency that she did. And the year prior to that, she went all the way to LA in California to take part in a festival of tabla. So she's really spreading this art around, and I hope the same for this young girl right here. What do you think? Do you think you're going to follow in Deepa's footsteps?
Yeah.
She says yes. So great. We're gonna watch her journey going forward. So that's why it's quite exciting to have, two young talents here who are female, because we want to show this instrument to be played by women and really take it to the next level. So with that, I think that concludes the introduction. Let's just go into telling you a bit about the instrument itself. So let me pull up the camera on the tabla so that you can see it a little bit better. So you see the instrument right here. Now the tabla is made up of two instruments. It is a percussion instrument. On the left, on Deepa's left side, we have this instrument, which is called the baya. The baya makes the lower pitched notes more deep, more full, those types of notes. Can you play a gay for us? So hopefully you heard that okay. Hopefully the audio is okay, but that is the baya. Now we go to Deepa's right side. This side of the drum is called the daya. And this makes the more higher pitch, the treble sounding, the more sharp notes. Why don't you give us a demonstration? Good. Okay, so hopefully everyone can hear the sounds quite clearly. I know we're over a very unusual platform, but if the
I can hear it. We can hear it. It's fine.
Oh, great. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So the tabla is made up of this leather. On the top is leather. It's made out of a goat skin. And these strips, these are all leather. These blocks right here, as well as the body of the instrument, is made out of wood. And then this, it looks like a silver color or a gray color. It's a metal. It's actually called a German silver is the name of this particular metal. The instrument inside is hollow and it sits on these stands, which we just call stands. We just call them regular stands. So that is our instrument. It's a very classical based instrument, which uses the fingers, the hands, and the strength of the arms. There's a lot of strength and aggression kind of needed to play this instrument and it requires a lot of practice. Like I explained to you when I was studying in India, the practice hours that we put in generally were about between 3 to 6 hours per day. That was the requirement. So you can imagine how your fingers, your arms, your wrists, your shoulders, your upper arms, they can get very developed and very strong with this amount of practice. Deepa, in fact, did a kind of a intensive, not a very lengthy one like the one I did in India, but she did one right here where we're sitting right now. When she finished her high school years, she had that summer break off of between her high school, between senior year ending and her freshman year of college beginning. So she had that 3-month period of time where she came to me and she said, you know what? I want to do only tabla in a very serious, intensive way for these 3 months, because then I'm going to go off to college and I'm not going to have much time. So right where we're sitting right now, she did what me and her, we call it a tabla boot camp. So she pretty much came here every morning. She sat down with me and she practiced. I want to say probably around 2 to 3 hours. About 3 hours every day for those 3 months. So it was pretty commendable. It was very, very impressive. And then at the end of those 3 months, I kind of say we had a kind of a graduation where she had to do a very, very kind of technically advanced performance for in concert setting. We set up a concert for her, and that was her graduation of the Tabla boot camp. Okay, so now we're going to go into go into the sounds that you hear when tabla is being played. Now, the important thing to understand is that tabla is a language. It's very much a language. With our instrument, we can talk to you. We have words, we have dialogue, we have phrases, we have sentences. So what I mean is that every word that I say every tabla language word that I say can be played on the tabla. So let me focus in again on the tabla. So for example, if I were to say to Deepa, let me come in a little bit more. If I were to say to Deepa, ta, ge, tita, da, ge, tita, ge na, dinna ge na, tira kita, tira kita, tinna, tira kita, tinna, tira kita, dinna, ge, tinna, ge na, ge, dinna, ge na. Dati dage tinna kena tati take dinna gena. Dati dage na dati rekita dati dage tinna kena tati take na tati rekita dati dage dinna gena. Dati dage na da tirikita dati dage tinna kena tati take na ta tirikita dati dage dinna gena. Gena dati dage tinna kena ta kena tati kena dati dage dinna gena. Dati dage na ta tirikita dati dage tinna kena tati take na ta tirikita dati dage dinna gena. Gena tita gena dage dinna gena tita gena dati tirikita gena tita gena dage tinna kena kena tita gena dage tinna kena tita gena dati tirikita gena tita gena dage dinna gena. Yes, nice. So that is the language of tabla. So I started off with a word. I turned that word into a short phrase. I turned that phrase into a longer sentence. I turned that sentence into a paragraph. And then I turned that paragraph into a story. So I can tell a story with this language. Everything that can be played on the tabla can be spoken. So let's take it a little bit further. Let's speak a composition which is called a tukra. So Deepa and I will be speaking it together, and then she will perform that tukra. Okay, so you ready?
Saw a comment that the sound is going in. I'm not sure if it's.
Let's see. If you would like to try one thing, are you near the computer right now? Are you pretty close to it right now? Yeah. If you can go to audio settings, it's right next to the microphone on the left.
Okay.
Okay, and then through there, there's like that little arrow next to the microphone. If you go to audio settings and then go to advanced, you can hit the check mark that says enable original sound. And once I hit that and then turn on original sound, that may help it.
Okay, I pressed the box that says show in meeting option to enable original sound.
Yep. And then if you go to the top left, you can hit on the turn on original sound.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, it's in the top left.
Okay.
You could try that. That might help it.
Okay. So is it going in and out kind of when we were playing?
Yeah, before, but you know, it had it, but it was going in and out. But for the most part, it's okay.
Okay, so let's have Deepa play that again and we'll see how it goes. We'll see if it's improved. So again, the last piece that we played. How was it?
Yeah, they're still having trouble with it. Let's see it.
Now it's
Okay, so let's try one more time.
Okay.
So how was that?
Yep, that's it.
Much better.
Okay, good. Okay, so did you hear everything else?
Yeah, that piece, that was all there. There.
Yeah, we would hear it, a little bit in and out, but that last one was perfect.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's do another. We're gonna speak a composition. You're gonna hear us speak it together, and then Deepa is going to play that same item which we just spoke. One, two, ready, go. De de tete 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 din tete katete da na da tita kata gadi gana kata da na da na da kata da na da na da kata da na da na da. There we go. Nice. Good. Okay, now let's go over to Tanvi. Tanvi's sitting over on the other side. We have to give her some love as well. So here's Tanvi. Now, as I mentioned, she's just starting out with Tabla, under a year, but she loves Tabla. So Tanvi, can you tell me what is one of your favorite things about learning Tabla?
My favorite thing about learning tabla is that every time we learn something new or practice something, or we keep learning new things.
Okay, did everyone hear her? Did everyone hear her okay?
Yeah, that was great.
Yes, we did.
Okay, good. So she says that she loves learning new things. Tanvi, what is the notes that you most love on the tabla? Okay, so she's talking. You might have not heard. She's speaking a little bit softly, but about a composition which she learned recently, which goes da gena dati gena dati dage tinna kena ta kena tati kena dati dage dinna gena. So she's gonna play that for us. Play nice and loud. Yeah. That's fine. Okay, good. So that was her demonstration of that one particular piece. Now let's see both Deepa and Tanvi play it together, the same composition. Here we go. We're going to do the same composition. Again, I'm going to speak it. Da ginna dati. Let's do it a little faster, actually. Can you play it a little faster? What's your speed? Show me. Okay, good.
There she goes.
Did someone say something? Okay. Da ginna dati ginna dati dage tinna kinna ta kinna tati kinna dati dage dinna ginna. Four times. Okay, good. Good. Yeah. That was it. Okay, let's hear Deepa play the same thing, but in a really super duper fast tempo.
Okay.
She's being put on the spot, so let's see what she does.
Alrighty.
Yay! Nice. Oh, look at that. You're getting a big applause. Okay, good. So let me ask you, Deepa, can you give us a kind of some insight into your your tabla journey? What has it been like for you?
Well, it started in 2008. 2008. It's been a while. But it's been really because of Sejal Didi. I call her Sejal Didi. Didi means older sister, so we're very close. But she's known me since I was a kid, so she's watched me grow up and she's seen me, go through a lot in life. So I'm really close to her. It's because of her that I am playing and because of her inspiration that I have been able to do this. So a lot of credit to Sejal Didi. And a lot of practice. I think also growing up doing dance instilled some discipline. So there was a lot of influence of dance and tabla. So I enjoy just taking things seriously. I'm pretty serious. So. But it's also a lot of fun. And it's nice to see people enjoy what I do. So, and I also enjoy what I do. So I'm really lucky.
Yes. Do you want to talk about any particular compositions that you really enjoy playing, and then do you want to play them for us?
Sure. Well, a major type of composition is a kaida. It has a symmetry to it, so you'll hear something being played twice, but there's part of it that has bass, that's like the first half, and the second half doesn't have bass, so it's kind of symmetrical in that way. So I'll play something that has like a little bit of an intro, and then it goes into the actual composition. So let's begin. Ready? Being lit. So.
Yeah, you can.
Ready? Okay. intro called the Peshkat, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun to work on that one.
Woo! Yay! Nice. Okay, awesome. So what I'd like to do now, from Tanvi, Tanvi's mom on her little caption, she says, "Wow." Okay, so what I'd like to do now is we're going to show a video. Now, you're going to be listening to a video. Charlie from East Hampton Library is going to provide the link for you. We're all going to be watching this video together. It's the premiere. The video has been made especially for this event, and we all are going to be really in for a big treat. What you're going to hear is five different sections. The first section is a very small clip of 48 tabla players playing together at the same time. This little clip is from our recent student recital. Obviously, this year, for the very first time, we had to do the recital online. So we did it online. All of the students performed at home, and then we put the recital together. And you'll see that it's a really impressive clip where the 48 students are playing one rhythm exactly in time together. Following that, you're going to see a special sitar and tabla duet. Sitar is another instrument of India. It's a classical instrument. I'm sure many of you have seen or heard it before. It has a very long neck and a big hollow body, and it's a stringed instrument. It's like a very interesting looking guitar.
George Harrison played it.
Yes, George Harrison played it. So if you've heard George Harrison play, what song did he play it on? Do you know?
I'm putting on the spot.
Okay, well, he played it.
It was on Norwegian Wood.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
My
Nancy.
husband knows that.
Yes.
Thank you to Nancy. I'm surprised because she's like the biggest Beatles fan that I've ever met. So you're gonna hear a sitar and tabla duet. The duet is being performed again, especially for this event. It's my students. My student is on the tabla. He is 16 years old. His name is Rohan, and he's playing with his father on the sitar. Both of them are relatively new to their instrument. Rohan's father has only been playing sitar. I want to say he's probably watching right now. So hi, Rohan and Raghu. I want to say he's just been learning for under a year. And the interesting thing is he's been learning during the pandemic. So a majority, I'd say about 95% of his lessons have been online. So when I approached them about performing together, they were so excited. So they perform an 8-minute duet together, and it's so special because it's father and son. So you'll be seeing that as the second section of the video. And then the third part of the video is we're featuring our lovely Deepa right here. I'm not going to say too much. I just want you to be surprised. You're going to be so happy to see what she put together. And then at the end of the video, we'll talk more about that. We'll talk more after you watch it. And then the last part of the video, you'll see me playing along with Deepa. We're going to be playing some classical tabla, some traditional compositions, which are in a rhythmic cycle, which we call teen tal. It's a popular and common rhythmic timing in tabla music. It's a 16-beat pattern, and it's called teen tal. We'll be performing in that timing, in that time signature for the last part of the video. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Charlie to provide that link for everyone. So let's all watch that together and come back here It's about 19 minutes long. Let's all watch that and then come back and we'll meet back here in about 20 minutes.
That's right. Yeah. So if you look in the chat, or if you go back to your email, we provided the link to the video, which I did in the chat as well. And you can go watch that, and then you can return into the room. You can leave the meeting if you're having trouble, and then return, in the next 20 minutes or so, and we'll be here. So if you want to do that, feel free. If anyone's having trouble,
So I'm glad that everyone got a chance to watch some of the versatility of the tabla. You saw that in the beginning. What was the beginning? Oh yeah, in the beginning it was the students playing, and then we transitioned to a collaboration with Sitar playing, and then we had our special surprise where we had multiple deepas performing um, in various different categories of tabla playing: classical, semi-classical. Was it like a Spanish rendition? Like she did such a mixed match of genres basically. And in the first section, the very first piece, which was called Motifs of Tabla and Guitar, it was a composition that she herself composed. And she put the guitar piece together along with her tabla piece. I didn't have anything to do with any of that as her teacher. She had she had full freedom. I told her, do whatever you feel inspired to do.
Miss Teacher.
And this is what she came up with. In the very third, so you saw the three sections. The first was with the. In fact, let me just have her talk a little bit about it. That'll be better. So Deepa, why don't you talk a little bit about your inspiration, maybe something about the various pieces that you played, and anything really that you wanted to share about this video that you made.
Sure. Well, since the quarantine started a year ago, it's been hard to find motivation as an artist. But yeah, just having the space to create something is something I'm very grateful for. So thank you. And I started learning guitar last April, and it was a little bit tricky at first. I wasn't totally sure where I was going with it. I had no idea what I was doing. But I found another teacher who was doing classical guitar, like Spanish and flamenco guitar. So I started learning from New York Guitar Academy, and they have like amazing teachers. And I was really encouraged by that and started practicing a lot. And I had this feeling in me that I could maybe combine it with, so that's what I was starting to think about and motivated to do. I've always grown up listening to rock and like just a lot of different styles of music, not just classical Indian music. So I love the Beatles, as you know. I mean, right now I'm listening to Jefferson Airplane like nonstop, so I'm obsessed. I love guitar and I love tabla. So I just wanted to do something that combines the two and have like, you know, a strong feeling of expression from me and what I've been through. So that first part of the video was called Reflections, and it was just kind of a breakdown of the emotions that I've been holding inside for this year. And it came from a very real place of like, you know, everything I knew, everything I thought I knew, kind of stepping back from it and really thinking about what's important to me and just appreciating the colors and the details of, you know, everything around me. So that's what the beginning was, the reflections, and then it went
She's out of her depression.
what happened?
I think so. It's with someone.
Oh,
I think
no worries.
Oh.
And then the next part was Malagueña. That was a piece that I learned from my teacher, and then I kind of adapted it and made it my own in a way because I wanted to combine it with the tabla. When I first heard it in class, I was like, oh, this is great. Like, I feel the tempo, and I knew that it would be able to work with tabla. And that piece, the time signature, I think is 3/4. So it's like in threes, triplets. So in tabla, that's like a different type of music system. So we have a different name for that. So that's dadrata, which is, I'll just play it. Da dinna, da tinna. So you can hear it's like in threes. But yeah, I just started thinking, oh, how can I make this like work together and kind of show off with each other? And it's possible because of quarantine in a way, because I wouldn't be able to do this live, playing guitar and tabla at the same time. So I was really excited to try that out. It was a huge motivation because that's something that I learned pretty early on in the class, but I practiced it for months so that I would be able to record it and sound okay. And then the last part, it was just, me and my element playing tabla and just having a little bit of keyboard in the background. But that's a kaida, so in my comfort zone. But the guitar is slowly becoming more comfortable. I still feel like a fish out of water though, because it's not my usual. But yeah, that's a little bit about what I made.
All right. Thank you for that description. And I think it plays to the fact that music is such an expression. And especially now when, this past year has been quite a difficult time for so many. And just listening to Deepa explain her motivation behind playing, performing what she just performed, what we all just heard her play, it really shows that, in these times, music is one of the things that brings us comfort. And in what she played, what it tells me about tabla specifically is that it's just so versatile. I mean, it's played in so many various categories of music. You can play tabla of course, in Indian classical music, but you can also play music with songs from the Beatles, for example, like that type of, rock and roll. Or I think tabla has been played in a lot of contemporary music right now. Like Selena Gomez has a song which has tabla in it, and so does Shakira has a song which has tabla in it, to name just a few. So in this video, you saw Deepa play tabla in so many various. Do we want to call it fusion?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're calling that fusion. So that's, that was a really strong point that came across for myself. I saw that someone had raised their hand. Does somebody want to ask a question? Because I saw someone had put their hand raised.
I did too. The person who had their hand raised. Do you have a question? Okay.
Okay.
You have some great comments in the chat as well.
Yes, we see that as well. Thank you for these comments. We are open to taking any questions that anyone might have. So if anyone has a question about the instrument, about the music, about any one of us, just feel free.
There's a question in the chat, and I'm going to say this wrong. Do you teach the Dhol? DHOL?
Yeah, I did see that question, and the answer is no. I don't teach that. And I answered, that question was from Sonia. I don't teach dol. The only percussion instrument that we teach at the Talim School of Music is tabla. I wish I had a suggestion of where you could go to learn that instrument, but unfortunately I do not know any teachers in the Long Island area.
And do you play music? Lovely music. This is from Rena. Do you have tunes for soothing the soul?
Do we have tunes for soothing the soul? I think that it depends on. I mean, we feel that the music that we play, the class, like when with the classical form of it, it goes back so many generations, and there's so much history behind it. There's so much meaning behind it. It tells so much of the past and the present as well. Um, the tabla music, there's a depth to it, and so what we feel is that the kaidas and the tihais and the tukudas and the tals that we play is quite meditative, and it, it does. If we want to say it soothes the soul, we can say that. Everyone has their own interpretation, their own feeling, that comes when they listen to this music or when they play this music. So it's very individual, is my answer to that question. I have a question for Tanvi. What is the hardest part of learning to play the tabla?
Getting your hand in the right position. So when I first started, I had my fingers over here, and they should be over here. And I had my hands over here instead of over.
Yeah, that's an excellent point actually that she's coming with, is that tabla is very, very precise. It's very technical. It's a very difficult instrument because the fingering is so detailed. Like if you have your finger here, if you have it 1 millimeter up or 1 millimeter down, then that's the wrong position. It's a very, very exact. So she's saying that the most difficult part, one of the most difficult parts about learning the tabla, is that you have to keep your fingers in such an exact position, and if you move around, then the sound that you create will be the incorrect sound. And I see there's some other questions. In the duet that you and Deepa did, it looked as if you might have been telling a story with your words and the music. Were you? What was the story? In the duet that we played, in the kaida. Okay. Well, actually, the composition that we played is very much like a story because it has a theme, and then it has variations. It's kind of like poetry, where you have the main part of the poetry, and then you have all the verses that come after it. Everything matches and everything rhymes. So, what we are playing there is a theme plus variation composition. So, it tells a story in that all the variations that we play are matching and they correspond to the theme. So it's a very organized structure. When you learn to play tabla, when you become a student of tabla, you learn a specific format. So within a strict format, you do have freedom and to create and to improvise. So that's what we were doing in that piece that you saw with the two of us playing the duet. Okay, any other requests? Or a couple of questions privately. So I think this is a private question. So I will answer that later because somebody wants to study tabla. Okay, so we'll answer that question later. If we don't have any other, let's see if we have any other further questions or requests. And if not, we will have the two young women here perform a last closing piece for everybody. Oh, there is a question. How hard was it for you to study tabla as a woman? Is that for me or for all three of us? It's for me. Okay. Well,
It's for all of you.
all of us. Okay, great. So let's start. I guess we'll start with me, and then we'll go down. For me, it wasn't. I didn't feel like it was different from my counterparts, from my male counterparts, from the because I was young and I was quite new to the whole scene in India. All I knew really was that I was there to study tabla. I didn't really think that you know that it was a male dominated instrument until much later when I was told that. All I knew from my side is that I really enjoy this instrument. I love the sound of it. I think it's so unique, and I want to learn it. So that was my whole take. And then I went to India and I started the whole journey and I started everything and I started the practice. And then from the people around me, especially, including my teacher and all the students and the people around me, they thought it was amazing. They thought it was like, oh, wow, a woman, like a girl from America, she's coming to learn tabla. They thought it was fascinating. And for me, I was just there to really get the training. So, was it hard for me? No, I don't think it was hard. It was just the same as it was for. It was hard because you're learning such a difficult instrument and there's so much practice. But I didn't feel any of the pressures or any sort of discrimination or any of those negative things that maybe would be associated with learning a drum. Okay, and now we'll go to Deepa with the same question. Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. But for me, learning, I mean, that's the fun part. And also having such a great teacher is extra fun. So, I mean, it's always been really inspiring to be able to learn in such a safe environment. And I'm very lucky to have a safe environment to learn. I believe that can be not a common feeling, generally speaking, for tabla. It's probably not guaranteed to feel safe as a woman. I don't know if everybody can feel like they're gonna have like the same opportunities. So it's really like it's hard to say. Everybody has such an individual and unique experience, and playing the instrument itself is like it outweighs the difficulties. But seeing how people are treated and like how much more common it is for like a man to be playing tabla, it's a little bit hard to watch that and then like not see people who are like me get the credit they deserve. That's a little bit tricky, but that's just kind of how music works in general anyways. Sometimes people who are really good don't always get the credit they deserve, so I think that's
true.
how it works. But also the other question,
How do successes look?
Okay, now we're gonna go to Tanvi, and she's gonna
Not a lot of successes look.
Like, so when I like first started, like I don't mean like right now, but like when I first started, like the first time I started, I was like, oh no, how much much longer do I have to play? This is gonna take forever. So many complaints. But now I don't have any complaints.
Okay.
Nice.
So,
Good.
in the beginning it was hard, but now it's becoming easier and easier.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
Excellent.
Pro answer.
Now there are a few questions from Ken. Ken has asked, do Indian students have the opportunity to study the tabla in a public school setting? Or must they study in a private or conservatory setting? Also, is there a standard notation for the tabla, or is it exclusively an oral tradition? Thanks, and my compliments on a wonderful program.
Good
Thank
question.
you.
Those are awesome questions.
Okay, yeah, very good questions. Let's take the first one. So in India, the general way to study tabla is in a private setting with what we call a guru. A guru is a teacher. So they don't have tabla training in a public school setting in the way that you imagine. For example, here, if you go to elementary school and you want to take violin classes, or if you want to join an orchestra, something like that, they don't really have that for tabla.
It's not standardized in the same way.
Yeah, it's a
In
very
Western
specialized.
music, it's very much like there's a notation system. Sheet music can be read in a certain way. There's time signatures. Everybody knows what that means. But in tabla and a lot of other Indian art forms, there's different like branches and styles of playing. It's very much like passed down from person to person. So it's hard to keep track of all those slight nuances, and you might not even notice it right away. But when you see people playing in different style, like there are definitely some different even spelling of the words that we use, like when we're spelling out the like notes and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a very much an oral tradition. It got passed on through the generations in the oral manner. The One of the reasons why it was not documented or written down is because in those days, in the olden days, the musicians, the masters of tabla, they regarded their art to be a personal treasure. They regarded it to be very sacred. And so if it was written down, then there was always that chance that it could get into the hands of someone that they don't want it to get into the hands of. So they regarded it as a very personal possession, their art, their art that they spent a lifetime honing and a lifetime perfecting. So they didn't want it to be written down. And so it was passed on orally. They would have the select few students that they trusted to continue the generation, continue this material through the generations. And so, but today, it's a different story. Of course, Tanvi and Deepa, both, they write down what I teach them. So the compositions are written down, and they're written not in a very specific standardized notation, but they're actually written down in just words. For example, if I say the word da, then it's written as DHA, just the way it sounds. Or if I say the word theta, TITA, it's just written as the word sounds. So that could be written in English language, it could be written in French, it could be written in Hindi, any language. You're just writing the actual sound of the word. So it doesn't have a very standardized notation where something that I am teaching or somebody or the same composition that another teacher is teaching. It could be written in a different way.
Everyone should know that Sejal has written a book. It's a wonderful book. It was one of the first things you gave to me, and I just find that such a generous thing to do.
Thank you.
For other people.
That was a fun endeavor. It took many years, but it was there's a lot of information packed in there, but it was a fun endeavor. Okay, I think we are, unless there's any other questions, I think we will have one more piece just performed for everybody. And before that, I want to conclude by saying that, we really had a great time introducing the tabla to all of you. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I hope you got a chance to watch the video. Now you have the link of the video, so if you would like to watch it again, then of course, by all means, definitely watch it again.
And before you start your last piece, hopefully you'll be able to start classes again for anybody here who would like to take a class with you, and maybe in the fall if they're vaccinated.
Yes, definitely.
So if anybody needs Sejal's contact information for the Talim School, they can ask me or they can ask Jude. And, I'm at Long Island Traditions.
Yeah, definitely. And right now we are sitting here in New Hyde Park. So this is our main location for where we teach. But obviously right now, a majority of the lessons are online. So if you can't make it to New Hyde Park, we could always start you off with online lessons. So definitely get in touch with Nancy or with Jude, and if you're interested, then reach out to us for sure. Okay, thank you. Let's have Tanvi and Deepa play us out. Now, what are you guys gonna play? You wanna play Tita Gena Tinna Gena? Okay, so they're gonna play Tita Gena Tinna Gena, Tita Gena Dinna Gena. So play that 4 times, and then you double it, and then hit a DI. Okay. Come a little closer. Just only the guy 4 times, and then you stop. You start. Okay. Would you like to meet the people behind the scenes? Come on.
Sure.
Go meet everybody.
Come on in, both of you. This is Tanvi's dad.
Hi.
Video and photos the entire time. And this is my mom. Hello, namaste.
Thank you for joining us.
All right.
This was wonderful. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. I taught speech for like 20 years. We appreciate it. Sejal, I'm trying to rhyme it with bagel.
Sejal,
Thank you, Mrs. Singh.
Sejal, I just want to say I learned so much today. I have attended Indian concerts, and in my Gurdwara they play tabla with harmonium, but I really had no idea that how intensive this was, and it was so great. I really would like to meet with you one day, and also with Nancy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that will definitely be. Where are you located?
I have everybody's contact in this case.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jude, and thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Mrs. Singh. Thank you, as always. Thank you all so much for being here and being so supportive. You're wonderful. Nancy, as always, just terrific. Sejal, I must know you off and on for at least 10 years, and everything you do is extraordinary. So really, thank you for being here and working with us. And I want to thank all of the patrons and everybody else who has signed on. We really appreciate your support. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Stay well.
Stay safe. Stay well.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
night.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.